Story time! So, have you ever thought about how reality might be a simulation of some sorts? So, imagine you're like with a bunch of people seated down in a white room and kind of like watching a movie screen. And in this movie screen, you see this particular person in this particular room. Let's imagine like a hotel room. And she's kind of like doing all these things in a certain sequence. And in the midst of essentially watching this girl go through the motions and making her choices, and you're just there watching and thinking like, hey, you know what? I think I could do a better job than her. Maybe I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have picked up that thing, and then the result would have turned out better. Because essentially, this girl is kind of like on a loop. Every time there is so-called a mistake made, she kind of goes back to step one again. And so to give a little bit more context, she is trying to evade a kind of like killer who is interested in her, and this killer, we want to get him to the stage where he doesn't kill us. And why I say us, because eventually me and like everyone else, okay, in that room that's watching this decides like, hey, you know what, we think we could do a better job. We think we could have more like awareness of where this is going and how to change course and how to make things better. Okay, so everyone decides like, you know what, let's all like go and in this sense reincarnate. So this is how I predict it or interpret it. And let's go and reincarnate and go and become this person and see whether we have a better or higher chance of making things have like a better result, you know, and have more like smartness and whatever. And so we all go down and reincarnate, and the first thing I notice is that there's so much darkness here. Like there's so much darkness. And here I am in the room, just opening up my eyes and thinking like, okay, where am I? What's going on? By the way, I'm sharing this because this is actually a dream I had a few years ago, and I feel like it depicts very clearly what reality is and how reincarnation works. And I initially wanted to like really make this into a movie, so please don't take the idea or credit me, please, you know, or if you make money off of this, like tell me, like include me on that, you know. But yeah, anyway, that is a whole nother thing. This dream I had really depicts very clearly, but on a very extreme level, very horrifying level in that sense, of what it means to be human and what it means to reincarnate and what it means to learn our lessons and how we interact with the spirit world in that sense. So, sorry about that. Okay, so we wake up and there's a pen, there is a like the red pill, blue pill kind of thing, except this time around I think it's a green pill instead of a blue pill. And there's a certain sequence to this. So based on the things that you do or not do, it creates a certain outcome. And so I decided to pick up the phone that was supposedly ringing to hear the voice of someone that was supposed to guide me through. And this guidance, I interpreted as our spirit guides or as our inner voice. But there was a lot of static. Like I could very hardly hear their voice. And then I got distracted. I saw the door and I got distracted. I went to the door and I looked through the hole of the door, the peek hole, and I saw a dog, a very cute dog. Yeah. And then I opened the door and I petted the dog, and there was a rose on the dog's lips. I took the rose, I looked around my neighborhood. Everyone was like happy, you know, it was like cool, chill. And then I saw this familiar face who was the killer, who was the dude who was the killer. And he was just walking past, like no concern whatsoever, not looking, whatever, no. And then I so decide to remember what's gonna happen next. And at this point in time, I had completely almost forgotten about the call. And I walked towards the toilet area, and through the window there, I noticed that the killer is planning to kill someone else. And I wasn't supposed to do anything about it. But me, trying to prevent any killing, I decided to give subtle hints through my body language and through shouting to warn the person that he was gonna be killed. So to spare you the details, essentially the killer caught on, and very quickly after they killed that person, they ran away, right? And then they came back in another disguise, and through the window, the toilet window, they shot me and I died. So essentially how this story goes is that I keep on dying because I make very different choices again and again and again. And towards the end, what happens is that this killer, I found out, has killed me in so many different ways, and some of them very highly torturous. And towards the last, so-called last incarnation, this killer tied me up in my hotel room, and I think was planning on, was it rape? I'm not sure exactly what it was anymore, but he was planning to torture me. And I was just there like thinking and like begging and begging, like, why can't I get this right? Like, what is my sequence? Like, I remember I saw this before, but why can't I remember what I'm supposed to do, you know? And this happens a lot to us in life, where we're constantly thinking like, didn't we do this before? Didn't we like have a plan before? And yes, we all do. We all have a divine blueprint, and we are all kind of briefed of what's gonna happen in our lives before it even happens on a soul level. But the issue with being human is that we forget everything, so we can't exactly be expected to remember all of the sequences and what those choices lead to certain outcomes. We think we can do it as souls, but as human we really can't, because there's just a whole nother capacity with the brain and the heart and the body, which on a soul level we don't really have. And so to end the story, right before I died, the millisecond before I died, where this person was going to torture me and kill me one more last time, and I was gonna give up. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna incarnate anymore. I'm not gonna do this anymore. It's too much. The guide that I had with the phone call, I could clearly hear them then. Right at the second that I died. And he specifically shared with me that if I had followed certain steps, and if I had listened to him clearly before going to be distracted by like the dog, the door, or whatever else, or trying to think so much instead of trying to listen to him, then all these torturous things would not have happened. So what's the moral
It's
of the story?
listening to our
Can you guys guess?
intuition, higher guide.